watching Korra, Making of a Legend. Now, let's hear from the creators of this epic series.
First episode of The Legend of Korra. I think the idea was that Aang was this reluctant hero. He didn't want to be the Avatar. He didn't want the responsibility to save the world.
What makes you so sure your daughter is the one?
Korra!
Korra, right off the bat, the total opposite. At 4 years old, she could already bend fire, earth, and water.
Yeah, we wanted her to not be the reluctant hero like Aang was, and she's ready to go out there and start being the Avatar, even when she's 4 years old.
Even as a little kid, she was like shooting fire and knocking buildings down and stuff.
And I remember talking about that transition of going from her as a little girl firebending to then going to her as a teenager in the midst of her big firebending test.
Yeah.
She's strong.
She lacks restraint.
We're watching Korra, Making of a Legend. Now, let's hear from the creators of this epic series.
I remember we were coming up with the idea for what her story was going to be. There was always this element of her running away to this utopia city. Republic City, coming up with the whole look of it was definitely a big challenge.
We looked at a lot of Library of Congress photos from like the late 1800s through the 1930s. We had gone on that photo trip up to Canada, and we took a lot of reference to Canadian Rockies. So it kind of became this like Northwest Coast fantastical version of Vancouver, Manhattan, and Shanghai, sort of. Or a hybrid city.
Yeah.
I remember we talked about that'd be a cool way to introduce Republic City. It's not just the audience seeing it for the first time, but it was Korra seeing it for the first time. That she had never been there.
In her mind, it was going to be this great place of freedom and where she would learn airbending. But then when she gets there, it's not quite what she bargained for, I guess.
The kind of introduction of the setting for the story.
We're watching Korra, Making of a Legend. Now, let's hear from the creators of this epic series.
Korra's misadventures through Republic City the first time she was there. We had the idea to show that she's totally different than Aang, that she wants to fight.
Give me the money, or else...
Or else what, hoodlum?
She doesn't just go out looking for fights, but if she encounters some injustice, some criminals, or some jerks, it's not even a choice for her. She's just so game.
Yeah, and I think she doesn't really think about the consequences. She thinks she's tough and thinks like because she's the Avatar, she's kind of the law of the land, so to speak, and taking care of some bad guys on the streets seems to be right up her alley, but doesn't realize that there's actually police that this is their job, and might not look too kindly on her just showing up and kind of busting some heads, I guess.
You're under arrest, too.
She was just ready to go. The second one came to her, so.
Totally.
You're watching Korra, Making of a Legend on Nicktoons.